Hello and welcome to the Influencer series. I'm so glad that you are watching online right now. And today we have really the opportunity to introduce the first female guest. And this female guest comes from Israel, from Tel Aviv. Tabea, it's really great that you are here, and I welcome you warmly here in the studio. And my first question to you is in Hebrew. מה שלומך?
בסדר, תודה, מה שלומך?
That means, how are you doing? And the Hebrew meaning of that is are you in a good state of peace? Do you feel complete? Very holistic question. And normally you need 1 hour to answer it, but now you only answered very shortly. My first question, my normal first question at the Influencer Studio is, who are you?
Well, that's a hard question to answer in a few short sentences, but I am a daughter of a father. No, I'm the youngest of 6 kids. I was born and raised in Papua New Guinea as a mission kid, and I now live in Tel Aviv, Israel since 6 years with my family, 3 children, husband. We live in Tel Aviv, and we are building a social business here. We offer job rehabilitation to men and women exiting forced prostitution and human trafficking, and we offer them jobs and dignity and hope to reintegrate them into society, because that is often the problem of those victims.
Wow. You know, this book laid on the bed of my wife Kevin, and normally I'm not very interested in reading a book which is very female oriented, and then I knew, okay, Tabea will come to the studio, I have to read the book, and I was really catched from it. I really felt in every sentence that there is passion, there is very enthusiastic written. It's more about, it's not only the biography, it's also life principles, marriage principles is included, and also what she's doing, her passion, how she wants all those who are with her change the world to a better world. It's really very good, and also Hebrew thinking is involved because they are living right now in a Hebrew context in Israel. And it's really very interesting. I just want to recommend everyone. This book was originally written in English. So the sound is English, no filter. So that's real. You are real. You love to be real, right? You're raw.
Yes, I do.
I
Raw, real, and possible.
You do not need and use any makeup, right?
Nope, I don't put any makeup on. My hair is as silver as it can be.
This is wonderful. So you grew up, you was raised in New Guinea. So this is an island, for all those who do not know where it is. Papua New Guinea is close to Australia and Philippines and Thailand and so on. How was it to be in this context, in a third culture context?
I have very good memories of my childhood. Obviously, there were ups and downs, but I think what my parents lived out very well was also a very authentic lifestyle with us children. Highs and lows, we lived through it all together as a family. We were not somehow protected from something. Yes, we might have been protected from the first world countries out there. I never watched a movie until I was in the movies until I was 16 and in Switzerland.
Wow.
And so pretty crazy awakening when I got to Europe. But I really loved the way that my parents lived out their faith. It was always lived out with a lot of, authenticity, very real to us. Angels were real, everything. We experienced a lot of miracles. And that really, really gave me a deep, deep foundation of my faith now in Jesus.
Have you ever had troubles with God, so that you said, okay, maybe you do not exist, you are not real? Or was it for you like yeah, it's 100% clear he's existing. I can have a relationship with him, or were you also a little bit hurt by God sometimes?
I think the only thing that I had to get rid of was religion, because I always say we grew up quite legalistically. We had a lot of laws and regulations to follow.
Yeah.
But at the same time, still I could see the real relationship that my parents had with God. But I did have to get rid of religion. And so I would say that that was my struggle, not so much in a God that was not existing, but in breaking down just things that were instilled in me as a child, that were religious principles, religious acts that I see differently today.
So you would say at this time they made a lot of regulations, also how a Christian has to behave, right? Was that also a reason why you did not go to a movie theater till you had been 16?
There were no movie theaters in Papua New Guinea,
No.
so that was not the case. That we had a few friends who had televisions, and we did sometimes get to see TVs or very, very old, back then videos were always a bit weird in quality, and if we look at them today, we'd say, what were we watching? But so I did see films here and there, but actual movie theaters were not even available. So with a lot of things I didn't even grow up with, they were not even an option. But more like just different rituals that you have to do, that I felt like I had to do. You have to read the Bible, you have to pray, you have to go to church, you have to. Like it was all there was a non-negotiable. And I find today that God is way more interested in if I really know him than if I'm following some sort of rule and regulation. So I can actually know him by being in the desert for a few weeks without ever putting my foot into a church building, and it doesn't make me less of a Christian. And I think that's what I had to get rid of.
Wow. I've never been in Papua New Guinea, but I saw all the pictures. I think you do not need a movie theater there because the scenery is so nice. You can watch every human thing what God is creating. What would you say as a child already or later? When did you get this passion to create a better world for people who do not have this better world, like human trafficking or?
Yeah, human trafficking, that whole topic only came quite late, I would say, in life. You know, some people just grow up and they just know I want to just, you know, go to Africa and feed the hungry, or I have a heart for orphans or for single moms or for whatever. They just know what they're passionate about. I was very restless for a very long time. I was always looking for a higher purpose, even though I served God and was always doing whatever I could. But I think I was just looking for something more, something bigger than myself, because I believe that God created me that way, that I'm always looking for the bigger version where where God actually needs to step in, something that I can't do on my own. Because I find that if you're a person who can do a lot of things, and we lived a very comfortable life in Switzerland, you can pretty much do everything and all pretty much out of your own strength. And there was always a hunger in me to experience something where I knew it was so large that God had to step in. And I always had a passion for people. I always just loved adding value to people. And that also became kind of my life declaration when I did a life coaching, because again, I'm one to really search for a purpose, and I'll go digging for it. I'll get any help I need to find it. I don't think, like looking back, I don't think you have to go that far in finding it. It's basically, what do you do best? If you're wondering what you should be doing in life, ask your friends, and they'll tell you what you do best. And what I kept hearing was, you're such an encourager, you always add value to my life. I'm around you and I just know what I should be doing. I just feel empowered. And so so it was actually first that, and then it was just loving people. And suddenly I heard about human trafficking at a conference, and that was only when that topic hit me. And it was also just one of those things, you can't make it up. It just hit me, And I realized, oh my goodness, there's men and women out there who are forced into prostitution, who cannot choose freedom of choice. I thought we got rid of slavery years ago. And here it still is absolutely existent, because I was naive enough to believe that they kind of chose it. And then when I faced it, because again, when you hear about human trafficking, about those atrocities, I mean, 27 million people, that is a number that you just don't even want to face.
Wow.
You think, what can I, as a mother of 2, ongoing 3, because I was pregnant with my 3rd, what can I do for 27 million people? And I always say, whenever you become an influencer or start to become focused on one thing, you have to focus in on the one, and you have to have a tunnel view. There's no way that you can face those 27 million. You have to face the one. And that's when I decided to go into brothels and to actually look one of these victims in the eye and find out their story. And I always say, if you want to eradicate injustice, you need to own it first, and you need to own it by looking into the eyes of the victim. Otherwise, it's too overwhelming.
And you did not only look into the eyes of the victims, you also decided, because you had like an education in a medical massage, you were a therapist, and you had the impression that you should start massage the prostitutes. And I read in your book that the prostitutes were very touched by that, and you had a very close, or you became a very close time, or a time of like healing. You know, for me, it sounded a little bit weird when I read this, but then you explained it to me, and I understood. Okay, this was so helpful for those. Why did you do that? So massage the prostitutes.
Yeah, it's really a crazy idea, because if you think about it, prostitutes especially, I mean, they are, whenever they're touched, they're robbed of their dignity, they're robbed of all value, they're robbed of their humanity, because they're bought to be touched. And so when I got this crazy idea, I knew it was a God idea, because who would even think of that? And I could almost hear audibly the whisper of the Holy Spirit saying, if you touch these women, you are giving them value, you are adding dignity to their life, because you're not afraid to touch them, because they're untouchables. You can't touch them. You might get sick, or you might, they're filthy. And by going there, it's such an act of honor. And obviously you ask them if they want it. But that was just it was such a God idea, and I just knew if I touch them, I'm giving them unconditional love, and I'm not taking anything from them.
You are very bold. You dare to do things. You're a risk. You're doing a risk. Also, I read also that you were kite surfing on the sea of Mediterranean Sea, and then you were alone. That the wind brought you out of the sea, and then there was no wind anymore, and you could not get back to the coast, and the coast guards had to bring you back. You're doing things that even me as a man, maybe I'm not the right type for that, but I would say, wow, you're like the female Rambo, you know? Wow, you're doing things that I would say, wow, really cool, but I would never do that, you know? And is that also something you also wrote in your book, that when you are living in Israel, that the new real normal is like expecting also miracles? Is that true?
I really believe that. I had this interesting conversation with a friend a few months back, where he said, you always experience so many miracles. You always experience God in such a real and incredible way. And I kind of looked at him and I said, well, do you live a life big enough for God to step in, or are you always in control? And he just looked at me and he goes, you've got me. And he just had to admit that he was not living a life big enough that even had space for miracles. And I think that's how many people live nowadays. I mean, if you live a comfortable life, you go to work every day, you have enough money to bring home, and your family, you never dare anything. That if you don't take a risk, you don't need God. You don't need God to step in. And I think that that's something that we need to learn again, to actually live way more in faith.
So you help those who do not have any chance to help themselves. So they really need someone who is helping them. So the prostitutes or all those who are suffering from all this human trafficking and so on. It's really evil, all that. Are you not afraid that maybe someone can attack you because this is a big organization, this is a big hidden organization, this is also very dangerous, that someone can also harm you or can also your family?
Yeah, we always made sure that we were safe. We always, especially when I started off in Zurich going into brothels, I made sure I wasn't alone. I even asked the brothel owners, when I come in as a massage therapist, this is what I'm doing.
Yes.
And the crazy thing is that they really don't care, because it's pretty much like fishing in the next pond if somebody would leave.
Yeah.
It's so dehumanizing when you even enter that place. It's literally a piece of flesh, and if she goes, I'll just go get another one. It's that's their attitude. Obviously, I wasn't in places where it was very secretive, where kids were kept, or any like the really crazy human trafficking victims that you don't have access to as a normal human being who's just walking the streets and goes into a brothel. There's so much underground going on. Obviously, I wasn't in those. But because there's big differences. I don't say that they choose to be there. I always say there's never a choice. But there are different areas where I knew I couldn't go in. It would not be safe, and I wouldn't even know. That would be... So we made sure that we were safe in that sense. And my life, I never felt threatened.
Yeah. So your strategy is to help those people holistically. So that means you started the first business or the first association 2011, and 2014 you moved to Tel Aviv and started Kite Bride too. And then 2019 you also wanted to have another location in Amsterdam where you can help those people. So Zurich, Amsterdam, Tel Aviv, this is maybe the future, and much more locations who also are doing the same association or the same help for all those who need this help. What do you think? What is important when you help those who really need that? So
yeah, I think one of the main keys that we were given was these women and men are often helped out and they're kept in shelters, and they kind of remain victims of some sort of institution. But when you give them a job, you actually immediately add value to their lives, because they suddenly they get up in the morning and they're proud of going to work, and they're proud of the money they earn. I spoke to so many people in prostitution, and they said, even those who it looked like they were getting paid well and they were kept well and all of that, they had to give a lot of money to to the brothel owners and to their pimps. But it always seemed like they were earning enough, always getting enough to send home. But the problem was that they themselves said the money felt so dirty. Even if I would have had more to keep for myself, I spent it right away. It felt so horrible.
Wow.
All of these people, not one was not in debt. And so now with the jobs that we can offer them once they come out, they come and they're referred to us from shelters that have already rescued them out, and they're ready for the next step of reintegration, but they can't make it into a normal job.
Okay.
They still have the trauma of the past. They still need that understanding. And I can see it now. I mean, during COVID, to see the traumas that are triggered again because we suddenly have to close, they're left at home, they can't come to work. This was really one of those situations in life where it proved to me that what we were giving them was really what they needed. It was not strong enough yet, so we have to work on the foundation and the roots, because a lot of them are not doing very well now because they couldn't come into work, because that really just gives them that hope and that dignity and that thing to get up to in the morning. And so I think that's the key to really holistically helping them out of that whole cycle so they can break free, and then he reintegrated. We're like a stepping stone to the next destination. And that's
it really sounds incredible, because you moved 2014 to Tel Aviv and you started to create jobs for those who need that, and this is really wonderful and awesome. And right now we're going to watch a movie about the COVID time, what they do in this time and how they are challenged.
Hi everybody, I'm Ron Cantor, the CEO of Tikkun International, and we are in South Tel Aviv at Kai. This is a business, a social business that employs victims of human trafficking, started by Tabea Oppliger and her husband, Matthias. But right now you guys are shut down because of the coronavirus. Can you tell me what's going on?
It's pretty devastating actually, because we had to close our doors because we're a business larger than 10 people. And for our employees, going to work was literally a joy for them. It gave them strength to face their past trauma. And right now, being in isolation is the worst thing ever that could happen to them.
So these were often women who were once prostitutes. Now they're not prostitutes, and they come here to this factory. They take surfing kites and they repurpose them into bags, all kinds of neat little things, sleeves for the iPad, but now they're at home.
Exactly, and you know, work gave them value, dignity. We believe in them unconditionally. We empower them, we give them life skills, and it builds their future. And right now, all they're left to do is to wait at home, and fear is so big in their lives, and past traumas are triggered. They've been isolated enough in their life, and now they just have to wait and see, and they're just scared. They're scared that we may not reopen our doors.
Wow. How can we support Kai Pride?
You can support by buying bags, because our website is still online, kaipride.com. We have stock, we have bags, we have accessories that we can ship to you, and that will secure their job. We always say buy now for her to secure a job. And you can donate. We have a Head Starter campaign that we just launched, and anybody can get on board to help ensure that these people can come back to a job.
So friends, this is a real way that we can help right now. And let me just say that Kai Pride is part of our Tikkun family. When you give to the COVID-18, 18 means life in Hebrew. We're not about the 19, we're not about disease or virus, we're about life. 18, Chai, we say in Hebrew. When you give to that campaign, this is one of the ministries that we are standing with, and I can't think of anything more powerful than taking victims of human trafficking, getting them off the streets, giving them jobs, giving them purpose. And even though they're at home right now, we believe they will come back to work, but you guys have to still be here.
Exactly.
So there are two things that you can do to help. Number one is you can go to their website, which is written on the screen, buy a product, they'll ship it to you. They've already made thousands of products, and they can get that to you. When you buy this, you are ministering to a former prostitute, somebody that was their life, and now they're free, now they have a job. The other thing you can do is go to covid-18.org and just give $18. I know that everyone's going through a difficult time right now, but we can all give $18. And when you give $18, you're helping these people, and maybe you can give $180 or even more. This is a time for us to take a stand, a time for us to be generous. Thank you so much, Tabea. It is a privilege to stand with Kai Pride.
And thank you so much to every one of you who is going to get behind us to secure jobs and make sure that they can come back to Kai Pride with open doors.
Amen. Shalom from Tel Aviv.
Yeah, it's a wonderful story. It's a wonderful opportunity also to help people right now. And if you think, okay, we are in the coronavirus time, we have also a need. If you have a need, plant the seed. This is the best thing what you can do. And maybe this is your chance right now that you're gonna order a bag and help those who really need that. So how do you experience the coronavirus time, and what do you think? What should we do also in the Western world in this time? It's like desert time?
Yeah, it's a very tough season for us, especially during full lockdown. We were closed for 6 weeks. We had to officially close, as you just heard in the video. And that was very tough because our people are still very vulnerable, they're unstable, isolation kills them. That's exactly what was their problem before. And so a lot of them went back to alcohol, depression, things like that, because they were already in the stage of being able to live alone and coming to work, and they got catapulted back into their past, which was very, very difficult. And now that we are allowed to reopen with all the safety measures, we have to be very careful with how many people. We work on a rotation. Not everybody is coming back. We have to wear masks and all of that. So it's still, we're not fully up and running yet. And it just proves to be a big challenge, because we would love to be able to just say, you know what, everyone has come back. Let's just get the ball rolling. But we're very dependent on tourists who come by. We have a lot of tour groups who come and visit us at our workshop. And that is all on hold as Israel has completely closed the borders. We cannot travel. So we feel a little bit stuck, but in all of this, it's also an opportunity to see where are the gaps, what proves to be a problem if we rely too much on abroad. And so we're also starting to work much more locally, trying to see what are our possibilities here. And yeah, we're starting to see some things change. We have sudden access to the government for some funding that could happen, which we never had before because nobody ever had time. So there are some good things, and you need to focus on those.
Oh, yes. We can help that those who are vulnerable, that they are not in this time, that they are not feeling alone. So this is really also a good time. And also, what would you say? You once also wrote in your book that you had an experience also with the Hebrew words, because midbar means the desert. So being in the desert is the midbar season, and in the desert you said that you were listening extremely good God's voice. So Lidabar, midbar and Lidabar. The Lidabar means the speaking of God. So you were at the fundraising tour to 2017, and then in this time you experienced God speaking. What do you say? What's important now in the time of a desert time? How can you listen to God's word or God's voice?
I think the main thing that we have to do is really to be still or be quiet, and just to today one of our employees, I always learn so much from our employees, as broken as they might seem. They're very, very sensitive. And one of the girls said, you know, Tabea, it's like when you're in the ocean and a current pulls you out, and the first thing that a man does is fight the current, but you're supposed to just let it pull you out. And then you need to, until it's pulled you out, and then you can swim out of it. And you should never fight it, because you'll get so tired, you'll always lose. And she said, this is a season that we can't fight. We can't fight against whatever's coming towards us. Yes. All we need to do is we need to keep our immune system strong, obviously, through our measures, which is going with the flow of how we're guided to do things, even if we don't agree, and just let it go. And then we need to find the channel to swim out under it. And it just, I was just perplexed. I was like, preach it, girl. Yeah. It's just, hey, just let it go and let God and take it as an opportunity. It's very difficult. It's not easy at all. I fight every day. I mean, our kids are out of school since forever, and they're not going back to school till probably September. Yeah. And it's very, very difficult to manage everything and to have them with so much energy and never knowing. Every single day I make plans, and every day the plans change. It's just crazy. Yeah. So it's I could talk another hour with you, but the time is running very fast. What will you say? What is one of the most important life principles for you? What is leading you every day? Or I always like to say, in the going, God shows you the way. I think so many people wait for the answer until they go, and I think you'll be waiting for the rest of your life. I also write about that in the book. It's literally in the going that shows you the way. If you think of Abraham, when he got the promise from God to leave, he didn't know exactly where he was going, but he obeyed and he walked. And in the going, the next step was revealed. And I think that's the key to success. We need to move. We can't sit still. And God will always close a door if it's not the right thing, but then he'll tell you when to stop. But as long as you keep moving in his flow, then the door will open, and if it's not that one, it's not your door. And so that's really my principle.
When you do make a mistake in the going?
Yeah, I just love how also the Hebrew mentality just says mistakes are never mistakes, they're teachers. And it's in the literal, you translate it literally, that's what it says. So every mistake is a teacher. So if you think of it as that, you can't make mistakes, you're just learning.
That's great. That's wonderful. It's really like a very good conclusion for this talk. And also for all those who want to be influencers. So in the going, you're gonna write history with God because it's His story. And when you make a mistake, it's not really a mistake. It's much more than that. Hey, I'm really very excited that you had been here, and we really loved that. You were the first female talk guest. And we have another guest next week on Tuesday at the same time at 8 o'clock. We do have Joseph Müller. He is a legend, and you will see that when you're gonna watch his talk and this talk. And 1 hour later at 9 o'clock this time, we have a great man here. His name is Ben Fitzgerald. He comes from Awakening Europe. He's the leader of it and the director, and we're going to talk about the principles, life principles, and also awakening and so on. It will be very interesting. And normally we had a summer break that endures for 6 weeks, but we will have an extra session, an extra studio time with Maria Prean from Uganda. She will be coming, and also she will be here in the studio physically. And I'm excited to see her and to talk to her, and it will be awesome. She will also be in the services of Celebrate Life Church Stuttgart, and it will be very, really cool. Thank you so much for watching online. Thank you so much to Tel Aviv, Tabea, Shalom, and I wish you all the best for you, for your family, for your ministry, and that your ministry grows and becomes a worldwide influencing ministry. God bless you. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Moving in our midst, I worship you, I worship you. You are here, working in this place. I worship you, I worship you. You are here, moving in our midst. I worship you, I worship you. You are here, working in this place. I worship you, I worship you. You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the Du warst das Wort direkt am Anfang, eins mit Gott, dem höchsten Herrn. Die Pracht verborgen in der Schöpfung und durch Christus nun zu sehen. Oh, wie schön dieser Name ist, oh, wie schön dieser Name ist, der Name Jesus Christus, Herr. Oh, wie schön dieser Name ist, der unvergleichbar ist. Oh, wie schön dieser Name ist, der Name Jesus. Den Himmel wolltest du nur mit uns, so brachtest du Jesus ihn her. Die Schuld war groß, die Liebe größer. Nichts trennt uns jemals von dir. Oh, wie herrlich der Name ist. Oh, wie herrlich der Name ist. Der Name Jesus Christus, Herr. Oh, wie herrlich der Name ist, der unvergleichbar ist. Oh, wie herrlich der Name ist, der Name Jesus. Oh, wie herrlich der Name ist, der Name Jesus. Herrlich dein Name ist. Der Tod hat verloren, zerrissen der Vorhang und Sünde und Grab schweigen vor dir. Die Himmel laut tosend, voll Herrlichkeit lobend, weil du nun auferstanden bist. Du hast keinen Gegner, keiner vergleichbar. Gott, du regierst für alle Zeit. Dein ist das Reich und dein ist die Ehre. Dein Name thront in Ewigkeit. Oh, wie kraftvoll der Name ist. Oh, wie kraftvoll der Name ist. Der Name Jesus Christus, Herr. Oh, wie kraftvoll der Name ist, der unbesiegbar ist. Oh, wie kraftvoll der Name ist, der Name Jesus. Du hast keinen Gegner, keiner vergleichbar. Gott, du regierst für alle Zeit. Dein ist das Reich tief der Abgrund, der uns einst trennte, zu hoch der Gipfel, der vor mir lag. Voller Verzweiflung sah ich zum Himmel, sprach deine Nachricht.